Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great time here at the Avalanche House. My name is Clara. I'm from the Filecoin Foundation, and today we have an incredible topic around maximizing value with blockchain and enterprises. And I wanted to say I'm super proud of this panel here because we have so many women sitting on stage, which is pretty hard to see in the blockchain space. So to kick us off, I thought everyone could go around and just give a brief background of who they are, where they're from, in terms of company and home, and then as well as what brought them here today on stage for enterprise and talking about enterprise and the blockchain. So I'll start with you, Jay.
Yes. Hey. Hello. All right. Here we go. Hey everyone, my name is Kurahashi-Sofue. I'm the lead of marketing at Ava Labs. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York, so I would say, just for the shout out for Brooklyn people here, we are the crypto capital of the US. If anyone says anything different, it's untrue, it's Brooklyn. The reason why I'm here representing the enterprise panel is we at Ava Labs have built a product called Ava Cloud. It's a fully managed blockchain service. Basically what that means is people, company, teams do not have to focus on the infrastructure, and they can actually just forego that, let the Ava Cloud experts do the heavy lifting, and then really focus on the application and the solutions that they're focused on. So excited to be here.
Amazing.
Hi, my name is Adi Hussein. I'm the Web3 lead at Vodafone Digital Asset Broker and the co-founder of Lionscraft. Very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sinem. I am from KPMG Turkey. I'm a partner and head of blockchain, fintech, and digital finance solution in KPMG Turkey. We are giving some consultancy services to the enterprises or the companies, and our consultancy services mainly start with the strategy phase, and then the ideation phase, building up the business objectives, aligning them with blockchain, and then choosing the right technology and making the right partnerships or the trying to find the right talents, and of course ending up with the support for the implementation phase.
Hi, this is Esra Ozdemir. I am working in EY Turkey as the blockchain desk leader right now. As KPMG services, we are also working in the blockchain area, but we have a couple of tools on blockchain already working around the globe. Most of the enterprise projects you see, we are mostly involved in those. So nice to meet you all.
Amazing, and a little bit about how the Filecoin Foundation is involved. Just a year ago, actually in Lisbon, we started the Decentralized Storage Alliance, which was announced on stage in our major conference, Phil Lisbon, last year. What the Decentralized Storage Alliance is it brings together enterprise companies to really think about the roadmap for what that means for storage and also blockchain as a whole. And so we've had working groups with all different kinds of enterprises to really understand their needs and making sure that we're not just here in Istanbul or wherever the next crypto conference is, building in the dark, that we really bring enterprises along for the journey. So to kick us off in terms of questions, I would love each of you guys to share what has worked for enterprise and blockchain, what hasn't. It's obviously blockchain has been around for more than a decade now, but we've seen so many transformations starting with smart contracts and even more evolutions beyond that. So if each of you guys can give a quick run through.
Yeah, I can maybe kick it off. So I think I'll kind of hit this head on. I actually think a lot of things haven't worked. And I think that's maybe why a lot of us are doing what we're doing, to really figure out what the path forward looks like. And there's probably a multitude of them, but really understanding how to minimize the friction for the onboarding process, what technology makes most sense. Permissionless technology perhaps doesn't make a lot of sense for enterprises today. Maybe in the future it might, especially with technologies like ZKs and things that are kind of building to help them keep their walled garden approach, which has been the tried and true approach, at least in the Web 2 space. So perhaps kind of the slow merging of the two worlds. I think just to kind of, I guess, address the question, one thing that I find that has started to work in the capacity of Ava Cloud and Ava Labs is really understanding what the problem statement is and figuring out what the solution makes most sense. And when that actually starts to unpack itself, what we realized is customizability, flexibility of the protocol, flexibility of the service offering really is what people want, because honestly, people don't know what they want, and so they want a kind of buffet of options to be able to explore. So hopefully the next phase of the industry moves from proof of concept, which is kind of where we're at now, more towards more widespread deployments and adoption of this technology. And I think we're going to see that in the coming 3 to 5 years. And I think we're going to have much more successes in the future panel that we'll have.
I think from my perspective, private chains haven't really worked, right? And it's not because of the technology, it's actually because of the total cost of ownership. If you're running a private chain, you're running most of the time, one enterprise is running all of the nodes for the other participants, which actually doesn't make sense, right? But this is what I've seen happen in a lot of enterprises. We run private chains, we look for cost optimization use cases to run on these chains, and then we are paying the costs of the infrastructure and also the license fees of those private chains themselves, right? So you're chasing for a cost optimization use case and your infra is costing 10 times what you thought it would be. So I think the shift to public chains is very interesting. And that's because a lot of these use cases that are running on enterprise, you can start running it on public chains and you pay per use, right? You're going to start off with these use cases and there's not going to be that many companies running on it or users. And so you don't want to start paying out your nose for the infra costs, right? So basically you should do it like DYDX. Run an app, if it grows, then run a chain, right? So that's what I've seen. And then that's why I'm also seeing a lot of enterprises start looking in public chains now.
Amazing. Sinem, what about you and the consultancy side?
Okay, thank you, Clara. First of all, while we are talking about blockchain, I think we should have a motto in our mind. One size fits all doesn't work for blockchain. So you have to do your own work and you have to do your own homework and you have to understand when, where, or how you can embed Web3 technologies into your current process. I mean, we are seeing a lot of various projects in all of the sectors right now. For example, we are seeing some NFT projects, or we are seeing some partnerships with brands or celebrities. We are seeing some tokenization of real-world assets, especially in the art or real estate side. Also, most of our clients are trying to embed Web3 technologies into their current framework, into their current processes, such as supply chain management or finance or even in ESG most of the days, nowadays, for improvement of the scalability or for the improvement of the efficiency or data privacy or trust or anything like that. I was a panelist at the Binance Blockchain Week last week, and the topic was the consumer and brand revolution by blockchain. But the panelists were from different types, different sectors with different experiences, but we all agreed on one thing, and we said that we need to focus on consumer needs and consumer expectations, firstly. So the first thing that we should keep in our mind is just focus on what your customer wants or what your consumer's expectation is. For example, let's assume a sports team implemented a successful NFT project, or let's assume a luxury brand which implemented a successful loyalty program based on tokenization of the assets. But it doesn't mean that you can just replicate or you can just copy the same solution or the same product, even if it is in your own sector or it's in your own industry. Every enterprise blockchain adoption should be unique to that enterprise. And on the other hand, the enterprises or the companies, we are telling them that they need to analyze the current pain points that they have right now in their environment, in their current processes. So that, for example, I mean, is your problem about scalability, or is your problem about operations, or is your problem about trust or anything like that? So that you can position blockchain as an answer or as a solution to that pain point. And as a last suggestion, I think one of the key factors for success about the blockchain journeys is collaboration. So you need to collaborate with the right team, with the right talent, or with the right technology.
Amazing. And Esra, would love to hear from you.
Well, from our perspective, what we see is there are two main things that you should be discussing over here. One is timing, and the other one is request for product, actually. In years, we have been doing research and development in blockchain for many years now, and we have some active tools that are working all around the globe. But over there, while we were having the research, development, and continuing the development for the ongoing products, what we see is if you don't have the right timing or if you don't have the request for that product in the market, then it goes null. So we remember a couple of years ago when we were looking at the sector, it was again the bull time, and there were so many projects that were talking about some value add in themselves. But nowadays, when we look, most of them are gone because there was no request for those products. But if you have the right timing with the right product, then you can go. And I can give you an example about one of our tools, for example. There is this reconciler tool we have in EY, Blockchain Analyzer, the other name of the tool is. And we have been using this tool for our audit teams and for all the exchanges we have been auditing for many years. But it was not a product that we were selling out to the customers. But a couple of weeks ago, we started by Fidelity Digital Assets using this product for the clients also. So this was the right time to use this tool, and afterwards all the tools are out there now because with the right timing and, as I said, the request for the product is now there.
Amazing. And I did want to mention on audits, Ernst & Young is actually one of the members of our Decentralized Storage Alliance, and they are actually leading an auditing working group using blockchain. So they're doing an amazing job in this space. So to change the question up, and I'll start with a response by myself, but I would love to hear from each of you guys. What are the most underutilized use cases of enterprise? What is on the horizon that you think is a huge opportunity that blockchain can uniquely solve? And how are we going to get there? And so for me, I think one of the best use cases of the properties of blockchain is really scalability with AI and enterprise. In just a few years, 90% of the web's content will be AI generated. And I think there's three properties around decentralized storage and most blockchains that really bring additional value. Number one is scale. We are producing more data than ever. And when we think about self-driving cars, if you guys have ever been to San Francisco recently, you'll see autonomous vehicles. Each one of those vehicles per hour produces over 1 terabyte of data. And the cost of data is so expensive. We actually offer storage at 1/100th the cost of Amazon Web Service, especially archival storage. And so there's a huge cost opportunity that comes with decentralization. Number two is really trust. Today we see so many photos floating online, and it could be manipulated or changed over time. And I think one of the best properties is being able to have data integrity and content authenticity. And that is something that enterprises are looking for, because we've all seen the news, FTX, other things. Today we need not only people who are in this space that have integrity, but also making sure that we can have the properties of blockchain also shine through for enterprises where most of their customers are businesses and they want trust. And the third one is really making sure that we have true decentralization. So most of you guys may know that most of the dominance in AI today are owned by large enterprises. Amazon just invested $10 billion in Anthropic, which is an OpenAI competitor. Microsoft has invested a lot also in OpenAI. And then if you look at all the AI patents over the last few years, they're either owned by big tech or by major countries like China. And so I think that's something that with scandals like Cambridge Analytica, people don't want necessarily their data to be centralized and also used without their consent. So I think there's a lot of interesting properties there. But I want to turn to Jay and others to hear other things on the horizon you're sensing.
Yeah, so from our perspective, I think one of the things we're seeing a lot is a lot of activity and attention in the Asia-Pacific markets, and I'll kind of dive in a little bit into why that's the case. So a few things. One of them is a lot of the Asian cultures, especially the business cultures, they want to be at the forefront of innovative technology, and some of this stuff happens from the top down, especially from the regulatory and government side. And so almost it's a little bit of an invisible hand, but at the same time, I think that's just how their culture has been built up. Now, I think to the question of what's the most underutilized, I feel, is really the simple applications, the really basic implementations of blockchain. I tend to find it's like riding a bike. Let's start with the training wheels. Let's start to go upwards, seemingly because people are under so much pressure. And going back to the Asia-Pacific example, a lot of people are shooting for the stars, which is totally okay. But this system is super complex. Even the opinions that we're talking about are similar, but also very different. And so I think if you're just getting started, it's really interesting or probably more fruitful to focus on the basic application. And I'll kind of round out with one example. So one sector that we're seeing in the Korean markets, the Japanese markets, a little bit of the Chinese markets, and I think that's going to start heating up, is loyalty rewards. Loyalty rewards works very similar like as a traditional currency model, except in Web 2, there's a ton of intermediaries just extracting value. And ultimately, of course, the punchline of blockchain is the end user, also the end facilitator of this technology, is going to have a lot of value extracted out of them. So that true peer-to-peer nature certainly does not exist. And so we're seeing Ponta, which is one company in Japan, one of the biggest rewards companies in the country. And then similarly, there's a conglomerate in Korea called SK Planet. They are deploying a lot of these rewards points that they have within their conglomerate on a subnet, actually, which is the nerdy part of it, but really no one cares about that, at least outside of this room, I think. And so ultimately, kind of tying a bow on the statement is really about, okay, well, we're actually 1, 2, 3 steps in the right direction. Now, what is the next step? Well, from my perspective, I think it's perhaps interoperability of these points, maybe to focus on, hey, like, actual visualization of what value is actually extracted if you are using an old system versus a new system. How do you tangibly show how the value of blockchain is impacting people's lives? It doesn't come with me sitting here talking about how staking works, how consensus protocols work, right? It really doesn't. It comes from actually feeling that value and actually understanding, hey, this technology is better than before, and that's all we really need to see. So hopefully that message is certainly permeating throughout the space. And I think we're seeing that just across the board. And I think we just need a lot more intention towards a direction. So where we're betting is loyalty rewards amongst other verticals. And I think you're going to see a lot more activity there. And hopefully this convergence of I guess, siloed networks as it stands now in a more kind of interoperable, cohesive network, which is ultimately the vision of this technology.
Amazing. Adi, what about you?
I have a very traditional use case. It's global trade, right? Right now, there are thousands, 100,000s of companies around the world. They are trading with each other across geographies. They're using different platforms, and they're communicating with each other mainly with a network called paper and email, right? But we've seen because of COVID, there's been a big wave of digitalization happening in global trade. So more people are using digital applications, more people are joining digital platforms in order to trade, exchange documents, make payments. But these applications are, there are thousands of these applications. They're not talking to each other. And in order to integrate between these applications, you need to have lots of APIs. You need to manage all these APIs. And you are trading, let's say, between Japan and the US. There's a lot of work you need to do in order to just integrate, right? So I think here is where blockchain can bring a lot of value. So instead of trying to integrate at that application level, you can integrate one level, well, not one level below, a bit more below, and integrate at the blockchain level, right? At the messaging level. Everybody can stay on the application that they're using right now that's customized for their needs. But then at a lower level, you can start exchanging messages with your trading partners without requiring you to move to another platform. So what I've seen in the last few years is that there has been a lot of private blockchain consortiums, right? And these all have either failed or gone bankrupt. It's not because the use case is not suitable. It's because, and it's not because the technology doesn't work, but it's because, again, it's the cost of ownership. If you are running your own platform or you're in a certain platform and you need to join yet another platform, pay that platform membership fees, maybe even have to run a node, it just eats up into your business, right? But what if you can have your platform, and it could be on any chain, right? It could be on Avalanche, on a subnet, or on Polygon, like CargoX. But all these chains can, all these applications can communicate cross-chain. And so you can continue using your chain, and you pay extra when you want to move the messages across chains to other people across the world, right? So that's where I see the next wave. And this is also a project that we're doing in Vodafone, together with Sumitomo Corporation, CargoX as well, and Avalanche. So we did a POC where we exchanged a certificate of a bill of lading on Fuji testnet across 5 different parties, right? So this is something that we're looking to get more in. So I'm not only talking about from a logistics perspective, but also from a finance perspective. In Web3, we have a lot of DeFi, right? There's a lot of very mature applications, finance applications, but these can also be applied to trade finance, real-world assets on-chain, right? And I think that's the next big wave.
Amazing. Sinem, do you want to jump in with
Yes, sure. To be honest, we can say that we are still in the early stages of the blockchain adoption, not just for the enterprises, but also for the consumer side as well. So, yes, there are many underutilized or underexplored use cases that we can talk right now, and most of them are already mentioned. But of course, I like to mention some more that comes to my mind. For example, one of the most promising areas, in my opinion, is the supply chain management. Yes, we have seen so many examples of it, but there is still so much room for the supply chain management to go. For example, by using the blockchain technology, you can create an immutable and transparent record of every stage of the supply chain, starting from the raw material sourcing to the product delivery. I mean, starting from one edge from the to the other edge, and by creating that timely tracking. Then this timely tracking will improve the efficiency, will reduce the paperwork, will reduce the fraud, or will reduce the compliance. On the other hand, the second example for me, I think is one of the significant applications is the healthcare industry again, one of the really promising and compelling ones. By enabling secure and decentralized sharing of the patient data, then you can secure and you can decentralize the patient data information. You can secure the medical records, and on the other hand, you can streamline the clinical trials. And it improves the, again, data privacy, it improves the interoperability, or it improves the patient outcome as well. And last but not least, I think it's one of my favorite cases because it doesn't have only an impact on the enterprise side, but also on the consumer side, on the community side. This is the digital identity management. I mean, one of my favorite topics, because nowadays, today, we are facing a lot of digital ID or IT frauds, which is a very common thing, unfortunately. And by the nature of blockchain, you can just lower down or you can say that there is no centralized point of weakness for the hackers to attack. So it improves the security perspective. But besides the security perspective, if you implement a digital identity solution by blockchain, then you can collect a lot of additional online data, such as social security data, or such as social media coverage, or like the medical records, and etc. And it's going to give more power and more control control over your personal data for the users. And maybe on the top of it, we can put the financial inclusion perspective. Because with the digital identity management by blockchain, there are so many unbanked population in the world. And with digital identity, I think they can have an opportunity to gain access for the financial instruments. And it's going to have a deeply positive effect for the financial inclusion side, which is a very good example for not just for the enterprises, but also for the consumers and users.
Amazing. And Esra, what about you to wrap it up?
Well, it was hard for me to pick up on the scale of the use cases that we already have in UI, but the one that I would like to start with is the Microsoft use case. Actually, it's one of the most proud use cases for us. What we have done there was to build the Xbox platforms, Right and Royalties, a platform for Xbox, and it's already working right now. It's working for a couple of years now, and what we achieved over there is actually, I have some numbers with me for this one, because we saw some incredible numbers over there. Nowadays, there's over 25,000 transactions daily going on the platform, and what we see from the financial perspective was this: the completion of statements of accounts was around 45 days, and it has been lessened to less than 4 minutes now. So it's an incredible saving in many matters for the company, and also there's an expected 40% of cost reduction to administer the system, which is a huge number, by the way. So we are really proud of that platform. And other than that, we have actually many. For example, Sinem mentioned a very nice use case for supply chain management. And over there, we have a couple of use cases. One is very interesting for me. It's a national blood service from one of the nations, and we are tracing their blood on we call it blood on a blockchain, by the way, and we trace all their supply chain procurement stages and all the traceability for the blood that they are protecting and taking from people and holding them and putting them in the depot. And also there's another interesting case for example, we're working with a news agency, and for the, this is one of the main problems nowadays with the social media is the disinformation. And for that, we are working with this agency on the platform, and the customers who are reading the news can trace back to the original source of the news. So this is some way of having the blockchain over there and going back to the roots of that news. Also, there are a couple of more. I can go all along until the morning, but I think I just have to stop now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love this discussion because I feel like we can write an entire report on blockchain and enterprise with all the angles everyone here has spoken on so far. Unfortunately, we are close to out of time. I do want to wrap by saying over 200 zettabytes of data will be produced by enterprise companies by 2030, according to most market reports. And we can't wait to see blockchain along that journey. I think there's so much innovation happening. I wanted to ask every one of you as a prediction, how many years till we get to full enterprise adoption? How far away are we? Give me a number. We can go down, and then we will wrap. But everyone will be around to mingle with the crowd after.
I think the real guess for me is maybe like 50 years, and I don't think anyone here wants to hear it, but internet penetration is still not at 100, so kind of be realistic. But I think at a reasonable rate, I think it'll be probably like 5, where you're going to start to see major use cases come out, 5 to 7 maybe.
I really don't know. I thought ZK technology was going to take a while, and then this year it's everywhere. So yeah. I'm scared to give a number, but I hope it will be soon.
Oh, it's a hard question. I think in the evolving landscape of blockchain, the enterprises stand at the peak of a revolution. And the blockchain technology not just provides a technology leap, but also a mind shift conducting in business, how we do our business. So I think the my estimation is dependent on the enterprises, on the customers, and how fast do they gonna accept what they would like to achieve by blockchain. But at least I think it's gonna take another 7 to 10 years.
I am the optimistic in the room, I guess. So I think we waited enough, and what makes the scalability increasing is when you see the value add in numbers with the blockchain, the adoption is increasing. Even when we look back, just let's go back a year and let's see how development we had. So I'm not foreseeing that much. Maximum of 5 years, I will say. I hope they won't make me close my eyes, but I think maximum of 5 years.
Yeah.
Wait, Jay, you said 50, right?
Well, I said 50. 50 is the full adoption, but 5
I think
to
I
7.
couldn't give any use cases for you.
Yeah. So 50 years will be. Hopefully, we'll all be here.
Yeah, well, I was going to say object storage, S3, if you remember, it took 15 years, even though we use the cloud today so frequently. That took 15 years. And so great things take time. And I think we have what's so special about this moment right now is every time I come to an event like this or go to others, there is so much smart people solving hard problems and such great talent in the ecosystem. So I think I'm optimistic. I think we'll get there sooner than we expect, but we need a whole of ecosystem and cross-chain effort to get there. So thank you so much. Please give all of our panelists a great round of applause, and folks will stick around for questions outside.